الله الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار. الله الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of the attributes of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. In this episode, we are going to discuss about Al-Basir, which means the all-seeing. Last time we have discussed a very similar attribute of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, which is As-Sami', all-hearing, because these two things come together. As-Sami' wal-Basir in most places in Al-Quran. He hears everything, he sees everything. So nobody should think that any of his action is going to be hidden from Allah. First of all, according to this attribute, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees all existing things in this universe. All those things which are not existing now, but they are going to come into existence at any time. So, he yubsirul mawjudat wa yubsirul ma'dumat. The one which exists, the one which does not exist but is going to be exist, both are seen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second thing is that he sees what is going to happen to all the existing things. What is the end of everything? We don't know the end of the things, what is going to happen to us, what is going to happen to anything. We don't know, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. And it also means, or it implicates, that as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the reality of the things, what is going to happen to them, he should judge among the people one day, and that is the day of judgment. Because if he knows everything, if he sees everything, then there should be a result of that. And the result is that he says, he gives them respite in this world, but that respite is only till the day of judgment, or you can say till the death of each and every person. Because as it is said, Man mata faqad qamat qiyamatuh. The person who has died, his last day has come. He is not to wait for the last hour, because his last hour has come. He has left this world. The respite which is given to him is over. Now, the time which is given to him to do good actions, that time is over. So, his qiyamah has already come. Again, when we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Basir, as we said in As-Sami', that his sight is not like our sight. There is no resemblance between the sight of Allah and the sight of the creatures. What we see just in front of us, we don't see what is behind us, at our back, we don't see it. And then even our sight is, sometimes it is so weak that we need these glasses. And even with the naked eye, how far you can see. So there is no resemblance between the sight of Allah and the sight of the creatures. And this attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a person fearing Allah all the time. And it is very beautifully said by some of the scholars that if you want to commit a sin and you are adamant to commit that sin, go to a place where you are not seen by Allah. Is there any place like that? No. So it means that as long as you are in this planet, you are seen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so don't commit the mistake. You must not die but in the state of Islam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O believers, Fear Allah as He should be feared. And you must not die except in the state of Islam. There is this interesting story of the father of a great traditionalist, Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. When Abdullah was just a little child, a lad, that is the story of that time. His father, who was just an ordinary person, he was not a traditionalist, he took him to a garden of someone else. Actually, he wanted to pick some fruits from there, to take the fruits from the tree without the permission of the owner of that garden. He let the child sit on his shoulder, and then he started walking into the garden, and he said to the child, because he was a bit higher than him, he was sitting on his shoulder, "Lad, do you see anybody around us? Is there any other person who can see us?" And the lad said, "Yes, there is someone." The man said, "But I can't see anybody." "See once again." And he said, "Yes, I see someone." And the father was agitated. "I don't see anybody here. From where you got that knowledge, or you can see someone?" He said, "Yes, that someone is Allah. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala looks upon us. He sees us." Look at this lad who was so much aware of the existence of Allah when he was still a child. That is the same child, and later he became a great traditionalist. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored upon him. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows favor to those people who come to Allah. Allah is going to turn them into the cream of the society, the cream of this earth. Look at the story of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. He was persuaded by the wife of Al-Aziz, that great man of Egypt, a great minister. And both of them, they were alone in the house. And he was about to commit that mistake. This is what Quran says, وَلَقَدْ حَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. And she was about to commit that mistake, and he was about to commit that mistake, but he didn't. Why? لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. Because he has seen the evidence from his Lord. That evidence which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in your nature, that you remember Allah at such times. That is the best explanation of this ayah, that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he has seen that evidence, or you can say that he has remembered that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, who is watching them. This is why he did not commit that mistake. Now, when we say that the man got the very same function of sighting which is mentioned for Allah, but without any resemblance between two of them. Here I want to mention something which is related to the miraculous nature of Al-Quran. Quran is a mu'jiza. It is a miracle. And this miracle is of many shades. One of the shades is the language itself. Now just see that wherever in Al-Quran the function of hearing and seeing is mentioned, hearing is mentioned first and the sight is mentioned later. For example, the ayah of Surah Al-Nahl, وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought you out from the bellies from the wombs of your mothers. You did not know anything, and then He made for you a sam'a wal absara wal afida. A sam'a first, the function of hearing, and then He mentioned about eyes, and then about hearts. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you become thankful to Allah. In the same way, in the ayah of Surah Al-Sajdah, again He said, وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. after mentioning the creation of the man in different stages. And then he said that he has made for you the function of hearing and the sighting and the hearts, but little you thank Allah. So here comes this miracle of the language, that this is the real position of the child when he comes to this world, that out of the functions of hearing and seeing, which one comes first? When a child is born, he got the function of hearing operating at that time. His eyes are not open. They will open later. And you can have an experiment. Just if you make a sound in his ear, he is going to react at once. But if you just move your hand on his eyes like this, he is not going to reflect, because his eyes are not operating now. Ears are made in such a way that they are functioning all the time, even when you are asleep. When you are asleep, your eyes are not seeing because they are closed, but your ears are still functioning. This is why if you are asleep and there is a big thunder sound, you will get up. But because your eyes are closed, there may be a thief who come in the room and you don't feel about him at all. Now come to the story of those lads who have taken shelter in the cave, running from the tyranny of their people or the tyranny of the king in their times. That is the story of Surah Al-Kahf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us about these lads, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them sleep in the cave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them not to see anything and not to listen to anything, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want them to be disturbed in their sleep. Now, as far as seeing the things are concerned, they are asleep, their eyes are closed, they don't see anything. But their ears are still functioning. They can hear the sound of a thunderbolt, for example. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, فَضَرَبْنَا عَلَىٰ آذَانِهِمْ فِي الْكَهْفِ السِّنِينَ عَدَدًا. That is something specifically mentioned there, that we have stamped upon their ears in the cave for so many years. So why this stamping of the ear is mentioned? Only for that reason, that ears still function when you are asleep, while your eyes are closed. So that is, as I said, a linguistic miracle of Al-Quran. And coming back to our original discussion, we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Basir. He sees everything, every action, every person. While you are in or out, He sees you. So always try to be in a good state of Islam, so nothing bad is recorded against you. وصلى ta'ala ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. And we are going to continue after the break.
الله الرحمن الرحيم المالك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار. الله الرحمن الرحيم المالك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have discussed about the attribute of Allah Sami' before the break. Now we are going to take two more attributes of Allah. Al-Hakam, the judge, the ruler. Al Adl, the just. First, a few things about Al-Hakam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ يَبْتَغِي حَكَمًا وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكِتَابَ مُفَصَّلًا. Say that, can I take any other person apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a judge? And He is the one who has given you the book in all details. And He also said in Surah Yusuf, إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. The rule is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حُكْمًا لِقَوْمٍ يُوقِنُونَ. And is there any rule better than the rule of Allah for those people who got belief, who got the conviction of the faith? And He also said, فَالْحُكْمُ لِلَّهِ الْعَلِيِّ الْكَبِيرِ. So the rule, the judgment is for Allah who is high, who is great. And He also said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحْكُمُ مَا يُرِيدُ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala judges whatever He likes. And the end of Surah At-Tin, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. Is not Allah the judge of the judges? So the main thing which we understand from this word Al-Hakam, that He is just, and He is the judge who is giving justice, who is giving the judgment with justice. And it implicates three things here. The first thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what happened in the past and what is going to happen in the future. And we have said earlier that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there is no past, no future. And when we speak about a past and future, that is according to our understanding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows our past, our present, our future. And the second thing, that His will is a compelling will which is not going to be frustrated in any way. Nobody can frustrate Him. Nobody can say that His will is going to dominate the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third stage would be Al-Qudra An-Nafiza, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got the absolute power to implement what He wanted to implement. So, if He wants to give a judgment, this judgment is going to be implemented. It is not like the judgment of some of the judges in our times, that because they got no authority or no power, they can't implement their own judgments. And the fourth thing in this connection is complete justice. Because if there is no complete justice, the hukum of Allah or the hukum of the judge is not going to be accepted. But Allah's judgment is always based upon justice and complete justice. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ حَكَمَ بَيْنَ الْعِبَادِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given His judgment among the people. What does it mean? For example, the saying of Allah, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed that you must not worship except Him. And that, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, treat your parents with ihsan very nicely. This is, of course, another issue, that in this ayah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the right of Allah first, and then the right of the parents. The right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that you worship Him, just Him alone. Don't make any association with Him, no partner, no deity, just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what is demanded by Allah. And the second thing is, as far as your parents are concerned, you are not worshipping them, but you are treating them nicely and gently, especially if they are old and they need you, because as they have taken care of you when you were just a child, now they are grown up and they are old, they need your assistance. So assist them and help them. Don't say even a word like, "Uff." Yani, why? to your parents. Why did you say that? You are not supposed to do that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked you to be nice to them as they were nice to you when you were just a young lad. Now, there is another thing which we understand from this ayah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ حَكَمَ بَيْنَ الْعِبَادِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has decreed for some people to be fortunate one and the other people to be unfortunate one. This is known in Arabic as as-sa'adah and as-shaqawa. And we know from one hadith that when the angel is going to blow soul into the body that is in the womb of the woman, in the embryo, at that time few things are recorded, and in them is the sustenance of that person, the action of that person, the age of that person, and ashaqiyun huwa am sa'idun, whether he is a wicked person or a fortunate person. That is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let us move to the next attribute, which is Al Adl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, and this is why He has created the whole universe with justice. And by justice what I means, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a balance in the universe. And this balance shows us that everything in the universe has been given a balance. وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised the heaven and He has placed a scale into it, a balance into it. So in the very same way, we human beings are asked to create that balance in our life. The only difference between the objects of the universe and ours is that they are operating with the balance. But we are given a free will, and because of that free will, we are told, take that book, Al-Quran. That is a balance for you. That is a Sharia for you. And this is how you can create a balance and harmony in your life. Let us take this ayah of Surah Al-Hadith. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ وَأَنزَلْنَا الْحَدِيدَ فِيهِ بَأْسٌ شَدِيدٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُهُ وَرُسُلَهُ بِالْغَيْبِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَوِيٌّ عَزِيزٌ. We have sent our messengers with clear evidences, and we have revealed with them the book, wal mizan, and the balance. Book and the mizan. So this mizan is the Sharia, which is taken from the book itself. So لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ, so the people could handle their affairs with justice. That is what is required from us. Everything is in this universe is created with the balance. You can see all the different objects in the universe, they are running very smoothly because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them to run smoothly. In the very same way, you should have a smooth life as well. And I always say, especially when there is a wedding taking place and we have to give some nasiha, admonition to the new couple, I mentioned this ayah or this dream of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ لِأَبِيهِ يَا أَبَتِ إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ. He said to his father Yaqub alayhi salam, "O my father, I have seen in my dream 11 stars and the sun and the moon all prostrating to me." Now, when this dream came true after so many years, how it did come true? That his father, his mother, of course at that time, that was not his real mother, that was his aunt, Yaqub alayhi salam, has married her, and his 11 brothers, all of them, they came when he was in Egypt and they prostrated in front of him when he was sitting on his throne. This is how the dream came true. So who represents the sun and the moon in this in this dream? The father and the mother. Or you can say the man and the woman. Or you can say the husband and the wife. Now look at the sun and the moon. They are just rotating in their orbit. Sun is not interfering with the orbit of the moon. The moon is not interfering with the orbit of the sun. Because if they interfere with each other, that would be the last day of this universe. There would be a great havoc. Everything is going to be turned topsy-turvy. So this is why we say that the same thing should be adopted by us, we human beings, husband and wife, father and mother, man and woman. You got your role to play in this life. A husband got his role, a wife got her role. And as long as you stick and abide by your role, inshallah there would be no trouble in the house. The trouble only comes when each one is going to interfere with the role of the other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the man the harder task, and the woman the other task, which is also very hard, and that is to rear the children, to take care of the children, to bring them up. That is not a very easy task. This is also a very hard task. But because of their tender nature, it is good for them to remain with the children and rear them and give them a good upbringing. This is a great lesson which we understand from this ayah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned another ayah, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ. The woman got the very same right as those duties which are upon them. And in comparison to the duties, they got some rights as well. Don't deprive them of their rights. If they got the duties, they got some rights as well. And if there is a rank which is given to the men, وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ, that rank we know that is to spend on the household and to get your livelihood, to earn your livelihood. That is understood from the ayah of Surah An-Nisa. But anyhow, we come to the end of this program here. وصلى الله تعالى على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار. الله الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز